Alright, this is Manas Tiwari welcoming you to yet another episode of The Digit Show. Now, as Indians, we absolutely love phones, we love social media, we spend hours scrolling on X, Meta, Instagram, and yet somehow, as a nation, as a country, we do not have too many successful platforms of our own. Yes, there have been few in the past that have made the news, but none of them have been able to maintain the momentum. One that stands out though is ShareChat, a platform that has existed, been around for almost a decade now. It has evolved, adapted, uses a lot of technology now to ensure content discovery. And this week I sat down with the CTO of ShareChat, Nitin Jain, to understand what is that ShareChat is doing different, why do we not have too many successful Indian social media platforms, and what is ShareChat's vision and roadmap for 2026. So let's start the show with this very conversation. So we always talk about homegrown social media platforms. We ask whether we'll have an app that can not only challenge the likes of Meta, YouTube, X, but also compete them for a large period of time. Now, one homegrown social media platform that has been around for a while, evolved, adapted, and is still doing pretty well is ShareChat. And today I have with me the CTO of ShareChat, Nitin Jain, to understand how social media ecosystems work and what are the challenges that we as Indians face about that. So, Nitin, first questions, I'll be very direct and honest with you. Why don't we have a homegrown social media platform at the same scale? And whatever we have seen so far, why do you think they have not been able to sustain the momentum?
Thanks, Manas. Thanks for having me here. As a company started in 2015, and this like almost 10 years later, we are still sitting and as a very thriving social media ecosystem. See, I think first of all, if you look at it from India perspective, if I characterize India, see, basically in India there are three Indias. That was the three Indias, right? So one is affluent India, then another one is aspirational India, and third one is more struggling. And the needs of each of these are very, very different. So when we are trying to build a platform which generally cuts across all these three kind of Indias, then it needs a very, very different solutions. Now building a product, a technology that could actually measure and work well across all these three dimensions, I think that's pretty hard. And then most of the business who are venturing into this area, they don't even realize that they are actually dealing with this reality of the India. So that's one aspect of it. Another major side of this is the product and the technology, the scale which is required to build this. It's like what you're talking about is Indian user base, like about 900 million users who are connected with the internet and consuming contents in the different forms. And more importantly, the language diversity in India, cultural diversity in India. So when you now start building all this, so first of all, you put in all the constraints that I spoke to you about, and then on top of that, the cultural diversity, building a product and technology that can really now understand this diverse user base and is still able to make an offering which is relatively low cost in nature, cost efficient, scalable, and able to deliver the value to the users. I think it's pretty hard. And I think that is one of the reasons why there are only very few platforms in India who really have been able to achieve the kind of success that only few have seen in India, and ShareChat being one of those unique platforms here.
You look at all these big companies, these giants, if they want to make any of their services really popular, they first come to India, they make it accessible to as many users as possible. From a technology point of view, like how are you aligned with that vision?
At the heart, we are a data and AI company. And what we really do is we spend a lot of efforts in terms of building recommendations engine, in terms of understanding Indian languages, in terms of understanding user behavior onto the platform, and then the cultural diversity. And all of these various aspects, the way we combine them together, that enables us to really serve our Indian customers without having to really in-source any of the external technology from outside into the India. We own the entire technology stack. And this is completely in alignment with India's mission of being digital sovereignty, as well as the self-reliability or the self-sustainability. Similarly, the platform that we have built, while under these various constraints that we have across three different Indias, we have built an extremely cost-efficient platform. With that cost efficiency, we are able to serve the users the similar contents, similar experience, sometimes even better than what, let's say, some of the global peers are able to offer. We are able to do it at 10x lesser of the cost.
What do you think ShareChat did different, if you have to pick one thing, which ensured this sort of longevity for you?
I think one of the most important dimensions for me is the agility. the way technology is changing, I think we are seeing, like, let's say with generative AI, just from 2022 onwards when ChatGPT came in versus today. See, world has fundamentally changed the way people now look at the contents, create contents, or even engage with each other, and almost every aspect of the professional life. I think that's being changed with the generative AI, and this is impacting organizations as well.
Yes.
And that is where the agility of the organization comes into the picture. It's like, how do we really leverage some of these advancements which are happening into the technology to best of our advantage? ShareChat has been able to latch onto the trend. While we being a social media company focused on the short video platform, we have been able to catch onto the trend, and in a short time frame became the market leader into that space. So I think that agility and able to leverage the product technology and the internal external trends to best of our abilities, I think that is what differentiates us from other.
But when you have content in so many Indic languages, it obviously becomes even more difficult for people to, discover it, right? So what sort of technology are you using, integrating to not just make it easier for people to discover this content, but also ensure engagement on platform?
Yeah, and this is where our recommendation system comes into the picture. I think
Yeah.
that is where we have built one of the best technologies in the world in terms of our ability to understand our user. Now our platform will have to be able to discover, based on your initial few engagements, at what kind of contents you are liking versus disliking. Platform will have to quickly adapt. The time that I have you to engage your attention is typically a couple of minutes. If you don't find those relevant content in a couple of minutes, you being a new user, I have lost you already. And I think this is our ability to be able to build this real-time recommendation systems, which literally look at all your engagement onto the platform in real time and then surfaces the right content for you. That is something which is able to give us this advantage of be able to serve our users across different Indian languages without you telling me actually what you are interested into.
So let's say if somebody has to start a social media platform today, what is that one thing that you will tell them is completely non-negotiable? Is it AI architecture, infra efficiency, moderation systems, or just cost discipline?
I think we all are building the product for the user. See, unless we have a real user persona in mind and what's their problem that they are facing, I think until we have good problem statement, irrespective of we doing a good job either on the technology or on the cost or other aspects, I think the product is not going to fly. Another is I think the diversity of India, right? See, we have been talking about a lot about language, but it's not just about language. There's a cultural diversity of the India as well, right? That cultural diversity is to be understood as well. When enough, it's not just about me showing you a content into Tamil. It's also be able to respect that culture as well. And now that is something part of this machine can learn, but machine then cannot learn everything. I think machine will have to be made learn few things, and that comes in from basically your understanding of the Indian diaspora. I think cost efficiency definitely is super critical, because I think there are both good sides and not too good sides. I think good side is because there are these three Indias. I think there is one affluent India. This India is willing to pay for convenience. So you can build a product where people, let's say, are willing to pay a small subscription amount and do not want to get exposed to ads or few other interruption that might happen. And there are then this India, which basically is more value oriented, who are willing to take a little bit exposure to some of the brand ads and a little bit of disruption. How do you combine these two, right? So now, if you are able to bring in this decent balance of catering to the need of this affluent India as well as simultaneously the need of this not so well-being India, and put them together, I think that's probably is the another advantage. Compliance for sure is big. I think India has been taking a pretty hard stand off late. A lot of regulations which are coming in terms of data privacy, in terms of the contents that different users of different age profiles are being exposed to. So being ready to comply to those regulations which are coming from the Indian government, I think that's very critical. I think the 4 or 5 different concerns, a decent balance between these, I think will get you flying. But again, I think basic thing, if one thing I have to pick, I have to understand the user base, and that's the hardest part.
Data is one thing. It's just that what sort of content is being consumed. Do you think there has to be some sort of censorship to that, or I mean, in this case, just like restricted, just like how in cinema you have a certification for any sort of content, right? Do you think at some point that needs to be considered as well?
So for example, like let's say kids under 13, right? They cannot be exposed to certain kind of contents which are, let's say, violence in nature or other type of sleazy content. So that's where there will have to be boundary that who is able to see what kind of contents depending upon their maturity as well as age profile and other constraints that we might have as a society onto those contents type. And ShareChat is taking a very proactive instance. In fact, we just launched on the Quick TV the parental controls,
Okay.
in which explicit parent consent is required for kids of certain age to be able to watch a certain kind of content. So when our contents are coming in, we are really labeling them depending upon the different age profiles. If parents still grant the permission, that's still possible, but then it's coming with basically this combination of parental consent and platform providing them that ability.
One last question. Now we're heading into 2026. What does your technology roadmap look like for the next year?
In 2023, we were running a massive burn. We were basically spending almost 2 times of what we were earning. By end of 2025, basically our financial year 2025, we reduced our EBITDA by 72%. And while 26 number are still yet to come out, we will actually be ending 26 very, very close to EBITDA neutrality. And we are able to do so, not just, so we have been able to reduce burn almost to zero now, like we are almost burning same as we are earning. Simultaneously, we are able to grow massively as well. And I think we are expecting to finish year-on-year growth at about 50% by end of next year. We are hoping to finish at 1200 CR ARR by end of this year. Okay. So I think combination of these three things, which is how do we continue to grow? How do we continue to grow sustainably? And then how do we really venture into the new type of content format and deliver and continue to deliver value? I think these three things together will continue to drive my technology roadmap moving ahead.
Fantastic news. That is because it's IPO season, so you will probably one of the first homegrown social media platforms to go public. So all the best with those plans, Nitin, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Max.
Given how we have embraced technology as a nation, how much expertise we have, the amount of time we spend on some of these platforms, I really hope that we have more such success stories, more homegrown platforms competing with the likes of big tech, the X, the Googles, the YouTube, the Instagrams of the world. On the show though, now it's time for a break, but on the other side, we have the biggest TV comparison of the year waiting for you. So see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Digit Show. I am Manas Tiwari. It's Christmas time, it's holiday season. It's time to get inside your blanket, get your cup of hot chocolate and watch a lot of Christmas movies. But where do you watch them on? Which are the best screens to watch your content? Well, Siddharth in our Digit Test Labs has been testing a lot of TVs, and in this next segment, he will tell you which is the absolute best OLED TV that you can buy right now.
These are the 3 best OLED TVs you can buy today: the LG OLED G5, Samsung's S95F QD OLED, and Sony's Bravia 8 Mark II. They are all expensive, they are all very excellent, and on paper, they are each the very definition of the best OLED technologies available right now. One chases brightness and impact, one focuses on balance and consistency, and one is obsessed with accuracy. So this isn't about who looks brightest in a showroom or which one is the most color accurate. It's about which TV actually holds up when you sit down, lights off, and play some real movies and real TV shows. Physically, all three feel premium, but they carry themselves very differently. The LG G5 has that gallery-style design. It's clean, minimal, meant to disappear into the wall. Samsung's S95F is slimmer and flashier. The panel is shockingly thin. It almost feels too fragile, but that design confidence matches in how Samsung tunes the picture. Sony's Bravia 8 Mark II is understated, no drama, no gimmicks. It feels like a professional display that just happens to live in a living room. Now, none of these are design deal breakers. At this level, design is about individual taste, but let's see what happens when the screen turns on. Now, before we jump into scenes, it's important to understand how these TVs think. In my experience, Samsung prioritizes luminance and color volume, LG aims for balance across every scenario, and Sony prioritizes reference accuracy and tonal controls. Now, this scene is boring on purpose. Nothing dramatic, just slow motion across a detailed frame. On the Samsung, the judder is softened almost immediately. Even before you touch motion settings, the TV is already smoothing things out. It looks pleasant, but you're no longer seeing the problem clearly. On the LG, the judder is more visible at first. When you start adding motion processing, it takes a bit more effort to calm things down, and that's where the image can start feeling slightly managed. The Sony just shows it almost bluntly, and that's the point. You see the motion as it exists, then decide how much help you want. It doesn't make that decision for you. Now, this is one of the hardest tests for OLEDs. Grey walls, soft light, almost no contrast separation. The Samsung S95F looks clean and slightly brighter, but some of the stone textures start blending together. It looks pleasing but simplified. The LG G5 holds onto more structure in walls and floors, but as the scene darkens, it can start feeling flatter than it should. The Sony Bravia 8 Mark II doesn't lift blacks to show details, it doesn't crush them either. You get texture depth, separation without the image feeling processed. And this is where Sony quietly pulls ahead if you care about shadow nuance. Firelight tells you everything about how restrained the TV is. Samsung's S95F is immediately striking. The flames are bright, intense, and very cinematic. But when the fire flares, highlights can clip just enough to remind you that the TV is pushing itself. The LG pulls brightness back to preserve shape in the flame, but the surrounding shadows lose some depth. Sony keeps the flame structure intact and maintains separation in the trees and smoke behind it. The scene looks darker, yes, but also more believable. And this is a pattern you'll see again and again in this comparison. Now, this scene is pure HDR stress. Samsung goes hardest here. The flares are blinding, high impact and cinematic. If you want HDR to feel explosive, this is the most exciting presentation out of the TVs that we are comparing today. LG strikes a better balance, preserving more highlight detail without killing the intensity. In extreme HDR content, this balance is where the G5 quietly excels. Sony again prioritizes shape and control. The flares are bright, but you can still see the structure inside the light instead of just a white blowout. This pitch black scene from The Revenant is the most unforgiving scene of the lot. It's pitch dark, SDR, almost nothing to hide behind. On Samsung, clarity comes with the sense that the image is being shaped and you can feel the processing almost immediately. On the LG, things stay controlled, but facial structure starts to soften as darkness deepens. The Sony preserves the contours of the man's face without blooming, without artificial contrast, and without the processed edge creeping in. It feels oppressive, heavy, and real, which is exactly what this scene is supposed to feel like. This is where Samsung's QD OLED panel shows its personality. Colors are rich, saturated, and immediately eye-catching. The LG tones things down slightly. It doesn't dull the image, but it doesn't chase the spectacle either. The Sony stays anchored. Skin tones remain stable even under extreme colored lighting, which matters more than most people realize until it's missing. If you like visual punch, Samsung wins this round, but if you like real colors, Sony feels more trustworthy. Samsung's motion processing is aggressive. It's smooth, exciting, but it's sometimes a bit too eager. LG sits safely in the middle, clean, controlled, rarely distracting. But Sony's motion feels the most film-like. There's less interpolation, more natural cadence, and fewer moments where the image reminds you that it's being processed. For sports and broadcast content, Samsung has a clear advantage. For cinema, Sony stays closest to the intent. This is what most people actually watch. Samsung sharpens aggressively, text pop, edges stand out, but faces can look a little bit processed. LG cleans things up easily without overdoing it. Sony preserves grain and texture better than the other two. It might look softer at first glance, but it's easier on the eyes over long viewing sessions. So which one should you buy? If your room is bright and you want a TV that always looks vibrant and attention-grabbing, the Samsung S95F is an outstanding choice. If you want an OLED that performs consistently across movies, gaming, and mixed content without leaning too hard in any direction, the LG OLED G5 is a safe and excellent choice. But if your priority is watching films and shows the way they were mastered, with controlled HDR, accurate shadows, stable colors, and natural motion, the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II comes out on top. It doesn't win by being the loudest or the brightest, it wins by knowing when not to interfere. And at this level, that restraint is what separates a great TV from a truly cinematic one. So that was it for this video. If you liked this comparison, give it a thumbs up and tell us in the comments which all TV comparisons would you like to see next. Thank you for watching.
Alright, this is the final segment of the year, and what a year this has been. So much of new tech, so many innovations. As you can see behind me, the celebrations are already on. And we thought while we spend most of the time, most of the year testing devices, bringing out all the data, helping you make smarter buying decisions, this is probably the best time to look back at some of the behind the scenes, behind the camera madness. So I am leaving you with some of those moments. Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.
आजा उड़िए।
बहुत ज़्यादा बोल दिया।
तू ऊपर से हाथ दिखा रहा था, मुझे लगा कुछ कह रहा है, मुझे लगा गया।
Both phones are priced.
और इस फोन को यूज करते हो तो शॉट लगेगा ना ऊपर से।
मेरी तरफ से डन है। नहीं क्या बोल रहा हूँ,
तू ये क्या कर रहा है? अरे बीटीएस में तुम लोग को नहीं आना, ये इंटरनेशनल बीटीएस है।
Positions as a KSP. अरे KSP नहीं KSP.
तो चलिए ओए।
BTS.
हाँ?
सजना है मुझे सजना के लिए।
गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स की कहानी।
क्या कर रही बेबी, उधर से गिराओ, एक मिनट गाड़ी निकल जाएगी।
and that is इसमें presence of haptic motors है।
अरे पूछना।
लगा आप पूछोगे पहले, आप कंटिन्यूएशन में हो।
यार तुम दोनों बाहर चले जाओ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਘਰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਆਵਾਸ ਯੋਜਨਾ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ।有下钱我冒险也能花现在家里面钱我冒下去钱是
ठीक लग रहा हूँ?
क्या नजारा है, क्या माल है यार।
अच्छा ना सर भूख लग रही है, मैं अभी क्या बोलूँ।
Like this
Have you seen
color.
those Ninja Turtle memes जो केसेस के साथ बहुत क्रिएटिवली आ रहे हैं?
मेरे एल्गोरिथम बेटर है।
भाई भूख लग रही है सर बहुत गंदी।
मोरनी बनके मोरनी बनके।
हाँ बस डालो तो हो गया वो रिकॉर्ड, अच्छा रिकॉर्ड हो गया वो।
ए माई दे दे माई।
ए माई दे दे माई।
जी हाँ जी हाँ
जी हाँ, मैं हूँ खलनायक।
भाई मैं अब कैसे पहनूं यार? अब मैं मतलब काली शर्ट ही पहना करूं, मैं कुछ ना पहनूं।
If you prefer a sleeker, lighter phone.
टी नोटी टी नोटी।
अरे वो ऐसे से कर रहे हैं वहां से। गेंस आ रहे हैं, दिख रहे हैं गेंस।
आ आ आ आ
भूकंप आ रहा है क्या?
With the 108 megapixel camera, positions as
क्या बोला तूने?
And on the other hand, this is
मेरा नाम है यश।
एक सेकंड।
ये कट मार दो।
आलू ले लो, प्याज ले लो, खूब सारे कुत्ते भाग के आते हैं सड़क पे, तो उधर देखते हैं।
49% बैटरी। बोला नहीं जा रहा।
भाई भूख लग रही है सर बहुत गंदी।
शर्म लिहाज ज्ञान, तीनों में से इसने कुछ नहीं पहना।
एक्ट तूने ऐसे करा था, को पता नहीं था कि ओ डिजाइन चेंज हो गया। 4 दिन पहले इवेंट देखा था, रील बनाई थी, वीडियो बनाई थी, फिर कह रहा है ओ डिजाइन चेंज हो गया।
कुकिंग
एब्सोल्युटली जीरो, शून्य।
क्या करूं मैं?
I feel attacked.
See again human intelligence.
Which one is coriander powder?
This is what you subscribe for.
Things you have to do to get promotions.
यार इंग्लिश टफ हो गई करनी।
चाइनीज माल है यार ये।
भाई भूख लग रही है सर बहुत गंदी।
ये एलईडी लाइट लगा के गफ्फार वाली सस्ती सी पार्टी।
चलो।
हाँ अंकल नहीं, अनकंफर्टेबल।
बाहर आ जा और ना हो सके मुझसे आज।